His family broke the devastating news on Instagram the next day, sending shockwaves through the music industry and beyond. In their heartfelt post, Beverly's loved ones spoke of the immense void his passing has left, describing him as a man who lived with a pure and genuine soul for us. No one did it better than them. They wrote a simple yet powerful tribute to a man. Frankie Beverly, the iconic voice behind some of the most timeless R&B anthems, passed away on September 10, 2024, marking the end of an era in soulful music. The loss of Frankie Beverly is deeply saddened, not only by his family and friends, but also by the millions of fans who spent decades dancing to his smooth, unmistakable blend of soul, funk, and R&B. For many, Beverly's voice was more than just a sound. It was the soundtrack to their lives. His life was defined by his deep devotion to his music, family, and friends. It was evident to those who knew him well that Frankie was not only an extraordinary musician, but also a beacon of love, kindness, and authenticity. Songs like Before I Let Go and Joy and Pain weren't just hits. They were cultural touchstones with his band Maze. Beverly's music was woven into the fabric of individual and collective experiences, creating memories that span generations. His songs resonated deeply within Black American culture, making him a beloved figure whose legacy will be cherished forever. For many of his fans, Beverly's music went beyond simple entertainment and became a mainstay at weddings, cookouts, family reunions, and numerous celebrations. His ability to combine soul-stirring lyrics with catchy grooves made sure that his music was always a familiar and comforting presence. At a time when music was more than just a fad, Frankie Beverly in May became a cornerstone of Black American celebrations. His songs raised every gathering and created an atmosphere of warmth and connection that can never be replaced. His songs were synonymous with joy, unity, and love, making them the ideal soundtrack for life's most meaningful moments. As word of his death spread, fans from all walks of life began to consider how much Beverly had impacted their lives. His music spoke to the soul, addressing both life's highs and lows with a depth and sensitivity that made it universally relatable. Joy and Pain, in particular, captured the bittersweet nature of existence, a duality that struck a deep chord with listeners. It was a song about resiliency, about navigating life's storms and finding the strength to keep going. In the wake of his death, Beverly's impact on the music industry and Black culture is undeniable. His music was a reflection of his heart, deep, soulful, and full of passion. Although his physical presence is no longer there, the songs he wrote will endure, guaranteeing that Frankie Beverly's legacy will always be as vibrant as ever. His voice will always reverberate through the lives of those who danced, laughed, and wept. Frankie Beverly was not just a performer. He was a pioneer who shaped the sound of modern R&B. His work with Ma broke barriers and set a standard that few have been able to match. The sorrow of music. Frankie Beverly's passing is not just the loss of a great musician, but the end of a chapter in music history. His unique ability to blend genres and create timeless melodies will continue to inspire future generations of artists, just as it has influenced those before them. Beyond the stage, the mystery surrounding Beverly's personal life, particularly his romantic relationships, has long captivated fans and followers alike. While his music was an open book, Frankie Beverly's legacy is more than his music. It's the love, joy, and unity he inspired in others. For everyone who knew him, and for everyone who felt his presence through his music, he gave his heart to the world one soulful note at a time. Resonating deeply with millions, his love life was a closed chapter, leaving many wondering about the man behind the soulful voice. For someone who put his heart into songs about love, joy, and pain, the specifics of his romantic relationships are still unclear and surrounded by rumors. Some have claimed that Beverly, despite his magnetic presence and timeless appeal, chose to stay single for the majority of his life, while others have hinted at the possibility of a more private, deeper commitment over time. These rumors have only added to the mystery surrounding his romantic relationships. Fans have been divided on Frankie Beverly's romantic life. Some think he was just interested in his music and career, while others believe there is a secret love story that was kept out of the spotlight. However, one question has persisted: was Beverly really single, or did he have a secret partner who shared his life and heart? These kinds of unsolved questions only serve to enhance his legacy, and it's unquestionably a story worth delving deeper into. One of the key players in the myth of Frankie Beverly's romantic life is Pam Moore, whose name has been associated with the late artist for many years. Although Beverly may never have married, his relationship with Pam Moore has long been a subject of discussion, generating interest and controversy. Although Beverly never formally referred to Pam as his wife, their close bond undoubtedly made it difficult to distinguish between friendship and partnership, and perhaps more to those who closely followed his life and career. Although there is no public record of Beverly ever getting married, his relationship with Pam Moore undoubtedly sparked endless speculation, especially among his most devoted fans. The two were together for more than 10 years, and many believe that their bond went beyond the typical partner label, in a way that they embodied the idea of a passing romance. She was a steadfast presence in his world, so the question remains, was Pam Moore his wife? In an interview, Beverly referred to Pam as his longtime partner. He once made a statement that spoke volumes about their closeness, and he continued by expressing his gratitude for her sacrifices, acknowledging how much she had done for him over the years. This kind of love that Beverly frequently sang about was an enduring, unconditional love that didn't necessarily need the formalities of marriage to be validated, fueled the rumors that they were more than just partners. They were soulmates in every way. Although Beverly never used the title of wife, many people thought Pam was his better half, sticking by him through thick and thin. Her presence in Beverly's life wasn't just a private affair, it was evident to those who paid attention. She was frequently spotted with him at significant events, such as his son's wedding in 1997, where she proudly stood by his side for more than 10 years. Beverly's life, a confidant, a source of comfort, and perhaps the woman who held his heart. Although their relationship didn't follow the conventional pattern, it was evident that their bond was genuine and long-lasting. They represented a kind of love based on friendship, respect, and a profound understanding of one another. Their bond was unique and uncommon, and even though it wasn't legally recognized by a marriage license, it was evident that Pam Moore had a big impact on Frankie Beverly's life. Although it's unclear whether Pam Moore was actually his wife, it's clear that their relationship was very important, and their story is proof of that. Perhaps they just decided to keep their private lives out of the spotlight, to protect what they had from the pressures of fame. After all, Beverly was a man who let his music speak for him, and perhaps in his personal life he preferred to keep things just as soulful, but much more intimate. Beverly may have kept the specifics of his personal life private, but his close relationship with Pam Moore says a lot about the kind of man he was off stage, a man who valued loyalty, friendship, and unconditional love above all else. As fans continue to honor Frankie Beverly's legacy, Pam Moore will surely continue to play a significant role in the story of his life, serving as a reminder that even the most well-known people can have private lives that are. Although their relationship is as complex and nuanced as the music they produce, it is undeniable to those who witnessed it that Pam Moore was more than just a romantic partner. She was an essential part of Frankie Beverly's heart and soul. Despite their close relationship, Frankie was always forthright about the fact that his music played a major role in his decision to never get married. Even though rumors and whispers about his love life continued for years, it is somewhat ironic that the very thing that brought him fame and fulfillment was also the reason he hesitated when it came to making that ultimate commitment. In an interview, Beverly openly acknowledged that his devotion to music frequently took precedence over the traditional milestones people expect, such as marriage. This statement illuminated the internal struggle he faced as a man deeply committed to both his craft and his personal relationships. In his private life, Frankie Beverly's music was more than just a job. It was a calling that took up all of his time, attention, and soul. The energy and passion he put into his songs and performances left little room for anything else, including marriage. Pam Moore, who supported him through thick and thin, seemed to understand this about Frankie. Their relationship, though unusual in some ways, was based on respect and understanding. Beverly's reluctance to take the next step was something he never shied away from discussing, despite the depth of their relationship. His self-awareness was striking. He knew who he was and what he wanted, and he wasn't afraid to be honest about it. Beverly frequently described himself as a self-described loner, a man who cherished his independence and found solace in solitude. In many ways, it seemed as though she accepted that his heart would always be divided between her and his music, made him apprehensive about the idea of getting married, even though he was obviously in love with Pam and valued their relationship. He wasn't entirely sure how he would handle the responsibilities and expectations that come with marriage. And for a man who spent so much of his life traveling and in the spotlight, the idea of being married seemed almost intimidating. It wasn't that he didn't believe in love. His music was evidence of that, but rather that he wasn't sure if he could fully commit to the traditional Frankie Beverly's greatest love, in many respects, was music. It was the one thing that remained consistent in his life. the one that kept him rooted and gave him meaning. He frequently talked about how music gave him the ability to communicate in ways that words couldn't, connecting with millions of people through his songs, to share his most intimate feelings, and forging a connection with his listeners that went beyond linguistic and cultural barriers. For him, music served as a haven, a form of therapy, and a means of making sense of the world, and as a result, it had a place in his heart that no other thing could match. Even though he recognized the value of his relationships, Beverly never held back when telling people that music was his greatest love. It was what motivated him, inspired him, and allowed him to have a profound impact on people's lives. For him, music wasn't just a job, it was a part of who he was. And that kind of passion demands a level of dedication and focus that not everyone can comprehend. In many ways, their connection was just as deep and meaningful as any marriage could be. They didn't need the title of husband and wife to validate their love for each other. They knew what they had, and Pam Moore seemed to understand that he was unable to balance that with the demands of marriage. Their relationship was unconventional, but it worked for them. She supported him, loved him, and stood by him, and that was enough. But the fact that Beverly never got married has always been a source of frustration for his fans. They have questioned whether his hesitation stemmed from fear or if it was just because he had already found everything he needed in music. For Beverly, the answer was straightforward. Music was his first love and would always be his top priority. He didn't see it as something that prevented him from getting married, but rather as something that fulfilled him in ways that nothing else could for someone who spent his entire life in music. Frankie Beverly was a man who followed his heart, even if it ultimately took him in a different direction than most. When he wrote songs about love, it was evident that he had a profound understanding of the emotion, even if he chose to express it differently in his personal life. His songs were full of passion, vulnerability, and honesty, qualities that people look for in relationships. But for him, those qualities found their truest expression in music rather than marriage. As fans remember Frankie Beverly, they will not only celebrate the amazing music he created, but also the man who created it, a man who lived life on his own terms. Beverly's decision to not marry wasn't a reflection of his inability to love. Rather, it was a testament to how much he loved music, his unwavering dedication to his craft, and his understanding that in order to give his all to his music, he had to make sacrifices in other areas of his life. Frankie Beverly was a man who stayed true to himself, even if that meant choosing music over marriage. In the end, that choice is part of what made him the legendary artist he will always be remembered for. Because even though he never married, his family always held a special place in his heart, and he took immense pride in being both. Pam Moore and anyone else who knew him personally would agree that Frankie Beverly was not afraid to be honest about his choices, and who found his greatest love in the songs he shared with the world. In interviews and personal reflections, Frankie would beam with pride when discussing his family, revealing a side of him that cherished the ties of fatherhood and grandparenthood just as much as he cherished his love for music. Throughout his life, Beverly frequently expressed his deep love for his son Anthony Beverly, who continued his father's musical legacy, as well as the joy he found in his role as a grandfather to 3 grandchildren, including Tia and Ava, be inextricably linked to his unforgettable contributions to R&B and soul funk. He once said, "It's never too much love." His love for performing frequently ran parallel to the joy he found in his family life. He managed this delicate balance with grace, always making sure that his loved ones knew how important they were to him. In fact, one of the things that defined him as a person was his capacity for deep love, whether that love was for his audience, his friends, or his family. Professional relationships were central to Frankie Beverly's identity, and love in all its manifestations was one of the enduring mysteries of his personal life. While Frankie Beverly himself kept this aspect of his life private, his son Anthony Beverly has been more forthcoming in expressing his love and gratitude for his mother. In recent years, Anthony has established himself in the music industry, but he has also regularly used his platform to honor his mother. His warm and admiring tributes to her, whether on Mother's Day or her birthday, demonstrate their strong bond despite her desire to remain out of the spotlight. But who is the woman behind these heartfelt tributes? Wanda Forest is the mother of Frankie Beverly's son, and she has mostly chosen to live her life out of the spotlight. While Frankie Beverly was making waves in the music industry with Mise, Wanda was quietly supporting her son and maintaining a sense of privacy that stood in stark contrast. Despite Beverly's well-known career, Wanda has managed to avoid the spotlight, but her influence on her son's life has been undeniable. Anthony has always expressed his admiration for her, often praising her on social media and sharing intimate moments that provide hints of their close relationship. At the moment, Wanda Forest seems to be living in California with her son, where the two continue to have a close family bond, despite Wanda's absence from the spotlight. Even though it wasn't well known to the public, her role as a mother has clearly played a significant role in the Beverly family dynamic. Frankie Beverly's legacy endures through his music and the impact he made on millions of fans worldwide. But the more intimate details of his personal life, such as his relationship with Wanda Forest and his bond with his son and grandchildren, are still essential components of his legacy. In many ways, Frankie Beverly's decision to put music before traditional family structures may have seemed unconventional to some, but it's what made him the special artist and person that he was. His life was characterized by a deep passion for love, whether that love was channeled through his music, his fans, or his family. This is evident in his story. Even though he may have chosen not to get married, and his love of performing frequently seems to eclipse his personal relationships, the mystery surrounding his relationship with Wanda Forest may have captivated fans for years. But for those who truly understood Frankie, his personal life was always with his son, his grandchildren, or his partner Pam Moore. This speaks to the fullness of his life beyond the stage. Whether he was performing in front of thousands or thousands of people, his music will continue to inspire and uplift those closest to him, like Anthony and Wanda, who will carry with them the personal legacy of a man who loved deeply and authentically in every aspect of his life. While Wanda Forest may not have sought attention, her relationship with Frankie Beverly and the family they raised together adds another layer to the rich legacy he left behind through their son Anthony and their shared role as parents and grandparents. Frankie Beverly lived with a heart full of love, and that love will continue to resonate in the lives of those who knew him best. Wanda's presence in Frankie's life speaks volumes about the love that existed between them, even if it didn't conform. Anthony Beverly, like his legendary father, has carried the torch of musical excellence throughout his life, inheriting not only his father's talent, but also his deep passion for music. Growing up with a front-row seat to his father's career, Anthony's connection to music wasn't just a byproduct of his environment. Rather, it was a testament to the power of love in all its forms, both on and off the stage. It was evident from a young age that Anthony was destined to follow in his father's footsteps, and as the years passed, he did just that. Frankie frequently related stories about how young Anthony would imitate the beats he heard around him, particularly on the drums with his father's band, which was constantly practicing and performing. Music filled their home, and Anthony took in everything they heard. Like a sponge, he was a student, and by the time he was old enough to play the drums, he was already experimenting with beats, rhythms, and patterns. It seemed as though he had an innate sense of the pulse of music, a talent he surely inherited from Frankie. By his early 20s, Anthony had fully embraced the musical path that had been laid out for him and was not content to just observe from the sidelines. He accompanied his father on tour with May and became a vital member of the band's compositions. Watching Anthony perform was like watching a young Frankie in action. He had the same magnetic energy, the same dedication to his craft, and a natural charisma that made it clear that the Beverly legacy was in good hands. The experience of touring with his father was not just about performing for Anthony. It was also about learning from one of the best while traveling the world with Maya's. Performances for May's fans were a treat, with Anthony contributing his talents to the band's already legendary sound. Learned the value of connecting with an audience, staying true to the music, and maintaining a level of professionalism and grace no matter what. These lessons weren't just taught, they were lived every day, as Anthony followed his father on and off stage. Although Anthony could have easily rested on his father's laurels, he was able to observe firsthand what it took to build a successful career in music, from the long hours of rehearsal to the electrifying energy of live performances. He knew the significance of his last name and the expectations that accompanied it, but he wasn't satisfied with just being Frankie Beverly's son. He set out to establish himself with the same tenacity and resolve that his father had displayed decades before. Anthony Beverly wasn't only interested in becoming a performer, he also wanted to play a role in the music industry from behind the scenes. Today, Anthony Beverly is a powerful figure, and his work at Brenta is a testament to his understanding of the music industry from all angles, not just as a performer, but also as someone who is influencing the future of music through his leadership and vision. Anthony is a music industry veteran in his own right, serving as the producer-director of A&R at Brenta Music Group, Incorporated, This role allows him to not only produce and create music, but also discover and develop new talent, helping to guide the next generation of musicians. It's evident that Anthony has applied the lessons he learned from his father to his own career. His position at Brenta Music Group enables him to combine his creative side with his business acumen, which has made him a notable figure in the industry. His personal career pushes the boundaries of what he can achieve while remaining faithful to the foundations of soul, funk, and R&B. Anthony takes a comprehensive approach to music, concentrating not just on sound, but also on the growth and branding of musicians, to make sure the whole thing is positioned as a significant player in the changing scene of contemporary music. Despite Anthony's intense devotion to his relationship with his father's legacy is still strong, and he has frequently discussed the impact Frankie had on him as a man and as a musician. Anthony attributes his father's teachings on the value of perseverance, humility, and maintaining one's composure in the face of success. These lessons have been crucial as Anthony has navigated the frequently turbulent music industry. And even though he is his own man, leaving his mark, there is no denying that Frankie Beverly's foundation still shapes Anthony's path. In interviews, Anthony has talked about how lucky he is to have had such a strong mentor in his father, saying that watching Frankie perform, create, and lead a successful band for decades was the best education Anthony could have received. He has also talked about how much he respects his father's work ethic and his ability to stay true to himself in a field that is always changing. In many ways, Anthony's own career is a tribute to Frankie's influence, even as he forges ahead. As he pursues his own career, Anthony Beverly is demonstrating to the world that the Beverly name is synonymous with musical excellence, both on stage and off. His work with the Brenta Music Group is just the start of what looks to be a lengthy and prosperous career, and it's evident that he shares his father's passion for music. As he continues to develop as an artist, producer, and music executive, Anthony Beverly is honoring his father's legacy, while also establishing one of his own that will surely leave a lasting impression on the music industry for generations to come. Frankie Beverly may have been the voice behind some of the most iconic R&B anthems of all time, but his son is demonstrating that the family's musical legacy is far from over.